Greetings, comic friends. This last week, I went on a road trip, and whenever I go on a road trip, I make sure that I check out comic shops along the way. I like seeing what other shops are out there, what they're doing, obviously what they have, if they have anything that I'm looking for, anything that I'm not looking for, but then I see it and decide that I want it. You know how it goes. So I made a pretty good tour around the Midwest. I basically did a big circuit, Omaha, north to Sioux Falls, west to Rapid City, down. Then I stayed in Custer State Park, so like the Black Hills of South Dakota. And then on the return trip, I went down to make like a big loop, so I could hit some other stores, some different stores on the way back. There's a lot of time in the car. It was about 8.5 hours drive time each way, then longer because I stopped at places. But I ran in some good places and had some pretty good experiences, and I got some stuff. I got what I think was some good stuff. It's also nice to talk to some of the owners in those shops, just to kind of talk about the industry and how things are going sort of in their neck of the woods. And I had some good conversations with some people, and I might talk about a little bit about some of that stuff. Actually, it's kind of probably inevitable. So the path that I took, so I went north into Sioux Falls. So there in Sioux Falls, I went to Rainbow Comics, and this is actually the second time that I've been there. 3 or 4 years ago, I took a camping trip. It was a different destination in South Dakota, and I passed through there on the way to that one. And I didn't realize it till I walked in the store. I walked in there, I'm like, wait a second, I've been here before. The first time that I went, what did I get? The first time I went, I don't think I ended up with any comics, but it's where I got my Rat Bat. Anyway, Rat Bat. That's a tough transformer to get with the complete, because his little bat ears fall off very easily. To find him complete, it's tough. So, but this time I did get comics. I have these all. I've organized these into order and stuff like that, so I could catalog them better. So I'm not going to go through what I got at each place, but so I went there, got some good stuff. Then I headed west. This was on Monday. So my next stop was going to be Rapid City, which is really close to my destination. And there are 2 comic shops in Rapid City. And they were both closed, which was kind of weird because, like, it showed them as open on as far as their hours go, and it's kind of strange that both shops at the same time happened to be closed. Even stranger, it was easy to tell they were both closed because they are literally right next to each other. They're both in the downtown area of Rapid City, and it's what was it called? Heroes and Villains, then some storefront that appeared to be closed, like closed, and then right next to that, Storytellers. So they were on the same block, same side of the block, same building, with one unit between them, which seems kind of strange. And Heroes and Villains, it appeared to be it was more of a toy and game shop that had some comics there. I mean, I have more comics than they had back issues. But they had some decent like keys and stuff. Not that I was looking for, but I was only able to find a couple of small things there, which is fine. It seemed like a good enough store. I had a little bit of interaction with the person that was working there. It seemed like he probably wasn't really a comic person, so I didn't really get into a comic discussion with them because, again, it seems their focus was more on other stuff. But then Storytellers Next Door was great. The person that worked there, I believe he was the owner. Hey, Wendigo, stop chewing on stuff. We talked about stuff and sort of the state of comics and whatnot. And I'll talk about that in a second. Stop. So they were closed. So I missed them. I went to my destination. The next day, because Rapid City was so close to Custer State Park, I actually went back to Rapid City because I needed to go up towards there for something else anyway. So I was only like 20 miles away from it. So I was like, oh, I'll go and check. And then they were open, so I hit both those up. Then when I left, I came down south. I went to down through to Ogallala, and I hit up Collectible Destination is the name of it. Great place. I spent a lot of time talking with the owner there. He also had like a mix of like old vintage toys and comics, and he also he makes his own 3D printed statues and paints them, and they were awesome. Like they look like manufactured, officially manufactured. But they were like, he had ones that were like, I mean I can't show, like they were big 3D printed things, which I guess he prints out in chunks and then, puts some pieces them together and whatnot. It was very, very impressive. And then I went east to Kearney, Nebraska, where was probably the biggest disappointment. It was a place called Game On. Not that it was a bad store. It wasn't a comic store. So when I go through these towns or these cities, I look up, comic shop in Kearney, and whatever, like, the sort of top hit is, I'll say, okay, we'll go there. And it definitely wasn't a comic shop. There were comics, but it was mostly video games and board games. And it looks like maybe they just kind of started getting into modern, new comics. So their back issues was maybe 20 long boxes of all modern stuff. It wasn't a bad shop. It just wasn't what I was looking for. But I still managed to get some stuff there. Not comics though, but we'll go into that. Anyway, something that was kind of interesting, talking with these different comic shop owners, is they're feeling some similar frustrations with the market right now. Not just the prices, but some of the people, I suppose. Like one of them, and I'm not gonna name names or the shops or whatever. But I bought a bunch of stuff, and it's like, are you actually gonna read those, or are you just gonna throw them in a box? I'm like, well, I mean, first I'm going to throw them in a box, but yeah, I'm going to, like, yes, I am the real deal. I'm buying comics because I love them and I read them. Am I going to read these actual physical issues? No, I mean, I've read some of them already, or I'm going to read them in reprints, but I want the actual comics because I do love them. I'm not, I don't know, just whatever. And then somebody else, actually, I bought a good chunk of stuff from him, and he gave me a really good discount. And he's like, I'm just happy if someone comes in and is buying all this stuff because they love it. Because he's like, everyone just comes in nowadays and is like, oh, do you have Hulk 181? I got some money to throw away, and I want that book because I'm Wolverine. I feel like inside I'm Wolverine. Snick. Like, he definitely seemed like he had been beaten down by like this modern collector that only cares about like the money and the this and the that. He was so refreshed to see someone like, no, I'm oh, you have this book, I'm putting this run together and you have it, cool. What Silver Age stuff you got? And I'm digging out stuff that like aren't keys and stuff. It's just good old stuff. It was so refreshing for him to run into that he's like, he gave me like a really good discount on the stuff that I bought. I thought that was good. And then someone else I talked to, we talked at length about it and the spec market and how it's ruining the hobby. Anyway, so what do we get? I got quite a bit of stuff. So one of the shops, this is a really hard series to get, to complete. And if I would have known, I never would have started it. But Tales of the TMNT. I don't know why. I mean, it's still fairly modern-ish. I didn't realize maybe how low print run it was, but this is a really tough series to put together. Really tough. And they had 3 issues I needed at a decent price at $5 each, which is good because I usually, whenever I do find these, they're like usually about $10 minimum, just for just a random issue in the run. But had number 19, number 51, and number 52. I wish they had more, especially at that price, but they didn't. It is what it is. But with that run, anything I'm able to get for it, I'm happy with. Let's see. So the smaller shop that was in Rapid City, I only got, these are the only 2 things I got from them. A couple of Transformers that I needed. Number 39 and 66. Just, they had them. They were for a reasonable price. I needed them, so I picked those up. Now, there were some other Transformers that I got. So Transformers is a very difficult run to put together because, especially the second half, it started to become very low print run. In the last handful of issues, it's very low print run and very hard to get. But this shop had a number of them. So I was able to get 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, no 80, unfortunately. 80 is the last one. The shop next door to this one, so these were from the Rapid City one, and this is from the other Rapid City one. They did have a number 80, but I felt it wasn't in the best shape, and it was overpriced for the shape it was in. I wouldn't have mind getting it in the shape it was in if it was priced a little bit more reasonable. I don't super care having these. I want them in decent shape. I don't need them in super mint shape because ultimately I do just want to read them. And there's no real viable reprints for these. They were reprinted. They were collected, but even the collected volumes, aside from like the first 2, are rare and super expensive. So I think it's probably actually cheaper to. And it sounds crazy because this run is not cheap because of those later issues. It's probably cheaper to collect the run than it is to buy all the collected editions. That's how crazy they are. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I think it was the shop in Sioux Falls had one of the last 2 Tales to Astonish that I need for the Submariner portion of Tales to Astonish. So all I need now is 93, which is one of, if not the most expensive one in that, of course. They also had Submariner Number 22, which is one of the last 2 Submariners I need. Pretty good. This is a minor key. I think it's maybe the first appearance of the Nameless Ones. Is that it? It's something minor. I don't know. So I picked that up. Let's see. Let's do these. The shop in Ogallala, Collectible Destination. From them, they didn't have anything I needed for runs, but there were some keys that I was interested in, so I picked those up. In Avengers 80, this is the first appearance of Red Wolf. Fantastic Four number 211. This is the first appearance of Terrax, which evidently, and I didn't know, is kind of a spec book right now, which sucks because, I mean, really, this is at most a $5 book, but not anymore. And it's something I've wanted for a long time. It's just I never found a good copy. I found them in dollar bins, and because it's a dollar bin type book, but it was in dollar bin shape. But the guy in Ogallala had a decent copy of it. I had to pay more than what I think it's actually worth, but it because it is specking, but it hasn't like super blown up. So, and he was really cool because we chatted for a long time about stuff, and he worked with me and gave me a good deal on these books. And also when it comes to, doing this, when I go on these road trips, right? Road trips are cheap. I go to camping destinations. It doesn't cost much to stay someplace camping. Whenever I go to these comic shops, I fold in the what I buy in comics is folded into the price of the vacation. So, it's the vast majority of the price of the vacation, but it's still, I count it towards the price of a vacation because it's like the only vacation I take every year is this one thing. And so I put these comics towards that. And then the other one I had, this is a pretty nice copy of Marvel Premiere 28, which is the first appearance of the Legion of Monsters, which is cool. Let's see. All right, so then the place in Storytellers in Rapid City, this was great. They had the other issue of Submariner I needed. So, done. Submariner, done. I do want to replace my number 50. That's the first appearance of Namorita. It's just, I think I got that number 50 in like a lot. So it was what it was. And I want to replace it eventually, maybe, depending upon the market. But more than anything, I'm happy to get this last issue that I needed of Submariner, so I can read that at some point. All right. So the rest of these go towards the not a Hulk run. There's some pretty good stuff in here. There is, I think I counted 22 books, which, that's not a lot. 22 books, that doesn't, 22 books, you buy those, it's not necessarily going to a run of something. So these will go to the not a Hulk run. I'll mark some things off of a list that does or does not exist. Who knows? And then we'll see. Some of these I will be perfectly honest with. I probably overpaid a little bit. Not that they were priced way too high. Just when you're putting not a run together, you got to be careful and you got to pick and choose of what you pay for some of this stuff. But again, I do like supporting the LCSs. I had good conversations with these people. I want to support the shops. I want to support them. And, it's vacation budget. So I picked up this really nice copy of 105. So this is the oldest one I have, the oldest Incredible Hulk that I have. The back needs a lot of work. The back is really, really dirty. But if I can get the back to look as good as the front, that's a good looking book and an awesome cover. So I'm going to get that back cleaned up and I'm going to submit it to CBCS to get graded just because it's a great, great cover. And a 106. And I don't think there's any keys or anything like that. This is why the guy that gave me the discount, he's like, I love that you're buying these books because you're not just all I care about are keys. Yeah, no, I want this old stuff. These are good reads. Number 110. 115. This is a great, great classic cover. 119. 120. 124. 146, bit of a jump there from 124 to 146. 152, 155, 157, 174, 175, an awesome Inhumans cover there. 189 with Mole Man and the Moloids. That's going to be a good read, I'm sure. 193, 200, 205, 265, 272. This is a fringe key, I suppose. It's the third appearance of Rocket Raccoon. Dumb. 293, giant size 1, and annual 8. Because when I complete runs of stuff, I get annuals as well. So, a good chunk of books to add to the Not a Hulk run. Pretty happy with it. Some nice low numbers in there. There were some other ones that they had, but weren't quite in the condition I was looking for. Which, you know, I'm not going for mint copies, but I do have sort of a level of what I'm looking for. That's all the comics. So then the Game On, the place in Kearney, which, by the way, don't go to Kearney. Don't go to Kearney and be in a car. I don't think they drive by the same rules that everybody else does. And by that, I mean, I drive by the normal way, and people in Kearney seem to drive by the I'm going to do whatever the hell I want kind of way. The over that entire trip, I probably spent 24 hours in a car, right? Driving there and back. And a lot of what there was to do in the park that I was staying was like these scenic drives and stuff. And I got lost a few times, so I spent a lot of time in a car there. That's to be expected. So I probably spent about 24 hours in a car during that trip. The 3 accidents I almost got into all happened within 20 minutes of each other in freaking Kearney, Nebraska. I blew my mind. This might be like, oh, you're in the place I want to be in. I'm just going to turn into there. Like, it was bananas. So anyway, that place, again, they didn't really have much of a comics presence, but they had a lot of board games. And I didn't get board games, but they also had some puzzles. And I love me some puzzles. So I picked up a couple puzzles there. This Rise of Tiamat, which I thought was an incredible puzzle of Tiamat, the evil 5-headed dragon. Thought it was super cool. And man, this blew my mind. I had to get this Garbage Pail Kids puzzle. Just this collage of some of the older Garbage Pail Kids. So I look at some of these, I'm like, oh man, I had that card, I had that card, I had that card. I remember putting this puzzle. I remember putting this puzzle together. I couldn't say no to it, and it was like $15. Like, oh, come on. So this might be the next puzzle that I do just because it's fun. Which is stupid that I got these because I have like 5 undone puzzles as it is, but I really like puzzles, so I got those. So anyway, that is it. Again, it was a healthy trip, hitting up 5 shops, and it definitely shows. Like, that's a chunk of stuff that I got. Super happy to finish off that Submariner run. Man, that's awesome. That's so awesome. That's been in the works for a long time. Anything I can get for the Tales of the Tmnt and the Transformer run, great stuff. And then the Hulk stuff, which I don't know what I'm going to do with. I'll probably, I don't know. I'll put it into a box. Maybe some of the numbers next to each other are sequential. Maybe there ends up being fewer gaps in between those sequential bits. I don't know. Who can say? But that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff. Let me know what, do you do anything similar where you try to hit up other shops or support other shops that aren't in your immediate area? Let me know if that's something you do. So do all that, and of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.